Federal ace of Jack Layton and Tommy Douglas.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the member that all of the powers which are being used under the Emergencies Act are being done in a manner that is very proportional, measured and respectful of the Charter, including protections around due process and the right to be protected from unreasonable search and seizure. Mr. Speaker, we're always reassessing the need for the Emergencies Act. We're listening very carefully to the advice that we're receiving from law enforcement, and I want to assure him and all members of this chamber that we will absolutely retreat from the Emergencies Act as soon as we can. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Regina Louvain.
The minister doesn't get it. Canadians just don't trust him and his government. We have a historic vote this evening. Liberals have desperately tried to justify the Prime Minister's power grab and overreach. We see the leader of the NDP bending over backwards to prop up the most corrupt government in Canadian history. To the Prime Minister, on top of the cost of...
Let me just... The word of corrupt is something that we maybe can rephrase that a little bit. The Honourable Member for Regina Louvain.
We've seen an NDP leader back up scandalous government we've seen throughout the history of our country. To the Prime Minister, on top of the cost of our freedom in his new Liberal emergency state, when will we see the celebration of the Liberals' official coalition with the NDP with the swearing in of a minister? Perhaps next week.
The Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what we have seen is in another reversal. A party which once tried to characterize itself as a party of law and order have now abandoned all pretext of supporting law and order in this country. Mr. Speaker, when we've heard unequivocally from the Canadian Chiefs of Police, from the Ontario Chiefs of Police, from the police rank and file, from the police commanders who are restoring peace and order to our city, who said these measures were necessary and appropriate. Frankly, Mr. Speaker, we're used to the flip-flops, but this one's extraordinary.
The Honourable Member for Central Okanagan, Similkameen Nikolai.
Mr. Speaker, the trucks outside are gone. The protests are over. There are no more blockades. Yet, this Prime Minister is still determined to punish those involved under the Emergencies Act, where there is no due process to protect the innocent. Worse yet, Mr. Speaker, he does this with the NDP's support. When did this Prime Minister lose all respect for the Charter, and when did the NDP lose their way?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, as my honourable colleague has now heard on several occasions, the tools that we are using under the Emergencies Act are very practical, very targeted, and very measured. We're talking about designating secure zones. We're talking about choking off illegal funds which can be used to aid and abet the illegal blockades. We're talking about rapidly deploying the RCMP so that we can restore public safety, Mr. Speaker, here in Ottawa. All of these things, the Canadian Association of the Chiefs of Police have supported. The Ontario Association of the Chiefs of Police have supported. The Canadian Association of Police, who are the rank and file of police frontline responders, day in and day out support the Emergencies Act. When will the party of law and order actually support the opinions of the law and order?
The Honourable Member for Central Okanagan, Similkameen Nikolai.
This party doesn't support the Charter of Rights, Mr. Speaker. It also doesn't seem to understand the continued use of the Emergencies Act for this Prime Minister's political purposes will only further divide Canadians. Now, former NDP MP Sven Robinson said that it's a very dangerous precedent is being set. Why has the Prime Minister not rescinded these emergencies powers today?
Mr. Speaker, the short answer is because we are listening to law enforcement who have given us a very considered view that threats remain to our communities here in Ottawa, to the neighborhoods here in Ottawa, Mr. Speaker, who have for far too long been under siege, Mr. Speaker. We're listening to law enforcement about the threats that remain at our borders, our trade corridors, and supply chains are vital to the Canadian economy. To keep Canadians at work, Mr. Speaker, that's why we continue to use the Emergencies Act, but we're doing it in a responsible, measured way, consistent with the Charter, and we will sunset the Emergencies Act as soon as we can.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, there are increased tensions between Russia and Ukraine, and armed conflict is imminent. We must face facts. Even if no Russian forces have crossed into Ukrainian territory, the country is already under attack. For weeks now, the Canadian government has claimed that it will participate in a imposing severe sanctions on Russia if it invades Ukraine. But, Mr. Speaker, the offensive has already begun. Ukraine needs the support of its allies now, not when it's too late. Will the government immediately impose preventive sanctions to dissuade Moscow from following through with this attack? The Honourable Minister.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. And as the honourable member knows, we are indeed ready to impose severe economic sanctions should Russia further invade Ukraine, an invasion that has been going on for many years. We're working closely with allies, the US, the UK, and the EU. Sanctions are always most effective when they're done in lockstep with other countries. That's exactly what we do as we stand with the Ukrainian people and with Ukraine.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Ukraine has asked its allies for immediate sanctions now. Moscow has already officially announced that it will recognize the independence of the Donbass territories, which is the first step towards their annexation. Ukraine has already suffered through a cyber attack, a maritime blockade, military pressure, and a disinformation campaign designed to justify an invasion. Just last week, the Foreign Affairs Minister declared that sanctions will come into effect on the first day of an attack. Well, Mr. Speaker, the attack is underway. Will Canada fire a shot across the bow and immediately impose sanctions against Moscow?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canada firmly supports the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Ukraine. We strongly condemn Russia's decision to recognize the Donetsk and other regions in Ukraine. This is a violation of Ukraine's covenant and against the Charter of the United Nations and represents a threat to security in the region. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are not fools, and even the Prime Minister's comments is growing increasingly nervous with his illegal arguments. He says that he has no choice but to invoke the Emergencies Act, and he's made a confidence measure for his own caucus. This sets a precedent, and it must not be taken lightly. Mr. says we need to keep the emergency measures in place as precaution. It's urgent to notice that he's renewing the Emergencies Act every time he disagrees, because every time his leadership is under threat, the Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, since the beginning of the illegal blockades, the government has taken many concrete actions. For example, we provided increased resources to police forces, but at the same time, the Emergencies Act has continued to be necessary to help police services and to prevent illegal blockades that might come back, and we will revoke the measures as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you, Speaker. Parliament Hill is now cleared. Most of the charges in Ottawa involve trespassing and mischief. Tow truck operators already were compelled to help authorities before the emergency act. Our borders were cleared prior to the never-before-used law being activated. Organizations like the Canadian Civil Liberties Association tell us that the government isn't limiting the act to just Ottawa. It applies universally across the country. It does not target just one specific protest. It applies to every single Canadian. So going forward, Speaker, how often does the Prime Minister plan to use the tool of last resort as a tool of first resort?
See the type of criminality taking place on the streets of Ottawa. When we see the attacks on our critical infrastructure, vital supply lines into this country, they actually constitutes an emergency because of the harm committed against our country and our citizens. And Mr. Speaker, we're prepared to do what is required. And we're working very closely with law enforcement, Mr. Speaker, and the important task of restoring law enforcement and protecting our citizens and our critical infrastructure. As long as they're required.
Mr. Speaker, the Emergencies Act is intended to be a last resort to deal with a clear, imminent threat. There's not a sledgehammer to deal with some future ongoing crisis. There's no security threat. The streets are empty. The blockades are gone. There's no threat to our democracy. We're here in the House of Commons with the world watching, about to have a critical vote. So if there is no threat, will the Prime Minister end his abuse of the Emergencies Act? Or is this just a ploy to ensure that the infringement
limits on Canadians' charter rights and our bank accounts are permanent.
Mr. Speaker, I hope that the member would have seen over the course of the last number of days that far from using a sledgehammer, the police have been restrained, they've been patient, and they have been professional in carrying out their responsibilities under the Emergencies Act, which they continue to say is necessary to bring about the end of the illegal occupation here in Ottawa and across the country. Mr. Speaker, there are still risks, but I assure every member in this House that we will sunset the Emergencies Act as soon as we can, and in the meantime, the powers exercised under it will be done in a manner consistent with the Charter.
The Honourable Member for Surrey Centre.
Mr. Speaker, for the last 2 weeks, law enforcement partners have been coordinating their efforts to end illegal blockades and disruptions in Ottawa and at border crossings. The RCMP have assisted municipal and provincial forces when requested, helping to stop unlawful retail.
We have an appellate reglement,
There's no interpretation.
a little trouble with translation. I just want to make sure that the member has his headset selected correctly. I'll give him a second just to make sure it's on his headset and not on the microphones. Because it did kind of sound like he was just on his computer instead of the headset. All right, the Honourable Member for Surrey Centre.
Mr. Speaker, for the last 3 weeks, law enforcement partners have been coordinating their efforts to end illegal blockades and disruptions in Ottawa and at border crossings. The RCMP have assisted municipal and provincial forces when requested, helping to stop unlawful protesters and restoring the freedoms and livelihood of all Canadians. Mr. Speaker, why is the continued use of Emergencies Act necessary to ensure Canadian livelihoods and quality of life are protected?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my honourable colleague for his excellent question and for all of his hard work in representing his community. And he will know, Mr. Speaker, why the Emergencies Act continues to be necessary. Because in Surrey and the Pacific Highway, we saw a recent effort to once again obstruct trade corridors, which has a direct and significant impact on the economy and Canadian jobs, Mr. Speaker. And I know that is a central concern for the honourable colleague. I hope it is for all members in this chamber, and I hope that tonight everyone will see fit to support the passage of the Emergencies Act so that we can end the illegal blockades, so that we can get back to life as normal as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Wellington, Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, I asked a serious question earlier, which the Attorney General did not answer. I asked whether or not the Attorney General or the Department of Justice rendered a legal opinion regarding the public order emergency powers and the Charter. Surely his answer to my question was not the sum total of that legal opinion, if it exists. So I ask again, Mr. Speaker, is there a legal opinion, yes or no? And if yes, will the government release it to the House ahead of this evening's vote?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
I thank the Honourable Member for his question. Were he a lawyer, he would understand that I would not answer that question. I speak as Attorney General for the Government of Canada in giving legal opinions. I've assured this House, I've assured the Canadian public that I feel that we have met the legal standards based on the decision, and that
I can stand here all day and just wait for everybody to come to order, and I'm going to bring the temperature down just a little bit. I know the Minister of Justice was trying to answer the question. I'll give him 10 seconds maybe to finish up. That's not much time as yet. The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Thank you. As I was going to finish, Mr. Speaker, the reason why, as an Attorney General, one never discloses whether or not one has an opinion is because that could be construed as giving consent to divulge that opinion, Mr. Speaker. It's covered by solicitor-client privilege, and it will remain so.
The Honourable Member for Carlton Trail, Eden Creek.
Mr. Speaker, that is an example of a failure of leadership. Legal experts, civil liberties organizations, and many others are sounding the alarm, stating that emergency legislation should not be organized, that it threatens our democracy, charter rights. With the support of the NDP, the federal government is ordering financial institutions to freeze the bank accounts of Canadians who don't agree with them. Why are the Liberals and the NDP so willing to trample over the rights of the citizens they represent?
Mr. Speaker, will work with law enforcement to restore legal order in this area. Thank you.
Stanley Knowles, elected 13 times for Winnipeg North. The 1978 debate invoking the War Measures Act, Mr. Knowles said we have to work very hard to show that in our kind of society, we still think there's a better way to deal with ideas that we don't agree with. Why did the NDP coalition not listen to these sage words of Mr. Knowles before implementing the act?
Mr. Speaker, and although I appreciate the letters and the sound of the democratic points, let me say, Mr. Speaker, the Emergency Act is not the War Measures Act. A progressive conservative government, back when conservatives called themselves progressives, brought in this legislation which was charter compliant, which respected the rights of all citizens and respected every freedom contained within the charter. Mr. Speaker, it's a carefully crafted law. We have complied with throughout in articulating our reasons for bringing this forward. Mr. Speaker, I think even Mr. Knowles would recognize what's been happening on our streets and on our borders constitutes an emergency. The Honorable Minister,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. By invoking the Emergencies Act, this government has ensured that our police forces had the tools they needed to dismantle the illegal blockades and end the occupation. We have heard directly from experts and from police forces how these tools have been used to do exactly that. And could the Minister please update this House on how the measures, including the financial measures put in place, continue to play an essential role in ending these illegal blockades and allowing Canadians to get their lives back to normal? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Public Safety.
I'd like to thank my colleague for her excellent question and for all of her hard work. In recent days, we have seen progress in Ottawa and elsewhere. There are blockades in Ottawa and our borders are open. I thank the RCMP and our police forces for all their work. All of the measures in the Emergencies Act have been very practical, they're targeted, and they're temporary. And all the measures have been implemented with respect for the Charter, and we will sunset the law as soon as we can. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Windsor West.
The Ambassador Bridge blockade caused over $1 billion in economic losses. The bridge is now open, but new barricades are blocking local business, cancellations of doctor and health appointments, and continued job losses. Since the Emergency Act started, further convoys have been turned back and resources have been invested to protect this national route, even when we've just recently faced a bomb threat. The government has offered support for Ottawa businesses affected by the occupation, and that is good. Will this government ensure that they are helping all the border municipalities and their workers who are harmed by the convoy crisis, because it still carries on?
The Honorable Minister of Public Safety.
I want to thank the Honourable Member for Windsor West for his advocacy and his for hard work in representing his constituents. We've maintained very open lines of communication during the illegal blockades, Mr. Speaker. He highlights why it is that the Emergencies Act continues to be necessary given the risks in Windsor, in Coutts, other parts of entry like here, Mr. Speaker. I want to work very closely with my honourable colleague, from Windsor-Tecumseh, the Mayor of Windsor, to ensure that small businesses have all of the supports they need so that we can get the economy going again, notwithstanding the challenges of the illegal blockades, Mr. Speaker. This government will be there for those impacted by them. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As honourable colleagues will know from the beginning, I've been very concerned that the regulations appear overly broad and not connected to the declaration itself. I want to ask the Minister of Justice and Attorney General if he's satisfied, if he can satisfy me, that the declaration is tied to these regulations, that they cannot be used other than for this specific emergency as described in the declaration.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for her question. The way in which the regulations or orders are based on the declaration, Mr. Speaker, as well as the way in which they're written, clearly indicate that they flow from the declaration. So I can assure the Honourable Member, Mr. Speaker, and I can assure Canadians that that the regulations or orders can only be used for the combating this particular emergency and no other situation, Mr. Speaker.
Well, that does it for question period. Thank you so much for all participating and staying relatively coherent. Now go to the daily routine. So, tabling of documents. The Parliament Secretary, the Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 32-2, I have the pleasure to table in both official languages the 2020-2021 Annual Report for the Green Municipal Fund, Forward Together. Thank you.
Table. Demo the project.
Introduction of government bills. Statements by ministers. Reports from interparliamentary delegations. Presenting reports from committees. The Honourable Member for Waterloo.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to present in both official languages the third report of the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs.
Advises that pursuant to Standing Order 91.12, the Subcommittee on Private Members' Business met to consider the items added to the Order